Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Acosta, and this is going to be my presentation on UFO activity in South Texas. I apologize for having to change the format. Two of the people I was going to have come over to serve as my audience couldn't make it, and since the time's running out and I'm using a borrowed camera, this is the only camera I could get that would allow me to be able to upload the video footage. So without any more delay, I'll get started with the presentation. Again, my name is Joseph Acosta. The topic of this informative speech is UFO activity in the South Texas area. On January 14th of 2009, I captured my first sighting of a UFO onto video footage. This began a series of sightings for me that have continued up until this past month. Actually, March 13th was the last date I actually captured some footage, and that would make it about a little over a year and a couple of months now. So I'm hoping to get a break on the actual footage itself and actually be able to get to use it in some type of a report to the media or the news, but I haven't had any luck with that. I'll get into that further during the presentation. The question is, what is the situation with these large number of sightings that have been breaking out across the United States? Just in 2009 alone, based on data that I've compiled from the Mutual UFO Network, there have been over 600 sightings of UFOs just in the U.S. alone, and that's not including the total amount that have been observed worldwide. One of the big misconceptions about UFOs, though, is what they really are. Now, most people hear the term UFO, and the first thing they begin to think is flying saucers, or they're thinking of aliens. This usually, really, in most cases, isn't what the object actually turns out to be. It can either be explained as a commercial aircraft, military aircraft, or some type of natural or occurring astronomical phenomena. Some people who've never seen Venus before see it for the first time. They see a bright light, and it is one of the most commonly mistaken natural occurring objects can be mistaken for a UFO. Typical confusion about UFOs and the sightings, like I said, in most cases can be explainable. It's usually some type of aircraft or something that can be explained after a certain amount of research is done into the background of the object. One of the problems has been, for me, again, a lack of media interest in general, at least in this region down here, in any stories having to do with UFO activity or any reports. I've contacted every local news channel, Channel 4, Channel 5, Univision, Fox News. I always received the same story. Somebody or a reporter would contact me at a later date concerning the matter, and that never happened. Part of it, I feel, is due in relation to that, has to do with the high cultural level of superstition that there is here in the valley, and I also believe possibly the influence of the Roman Catholic Church, which I was raised a Catholic, and a lot of people just simply are told you can't believe in these sort of things, that it's wrong to think that they don't exist, they're a deception, or whatever the case may be. But again, seeing is believing, as the saying goes in certain cases, and the amount of footage that I've gotten up to date, which is just underneath an hour, has I've shown it to quite a few people, and most of them are just very puzzled by it. They don't know how to deal with it. I mean, you see something, you have to try to explain it, and yet your mind really can't put it into some kind of perspective. Again, I also have a lot of experience in my time in the military. I spent 13 years on active duty. A lot of that stationed near military bases, large commercial airports. So I've seen just about every type of aircraft that most people could ever hope to see, at least taken out for landing from a facility. Fighters, bombers, commercial airliners, privately owned aircraft, helicopters, again, both civilian and military. So for the object that I captured, I could just identify right away that it was not some type of commercial aircraft, something that would be, you could mistake for an airplane or a helicopter. Again, some of the factors that led me to that conclusion were the behavior of the object, the altitude, and the effects it was having on the local environment. Specifically, the fact that it was flying at a low altitude. On one of my on the one occasion where I caught what I feel is the best footage, the object was probably less than half a mile from me, less than 100 feet in altitude, passing behind a tree line because I could see it. It would be above the trees one moment, and then it would be behind a section of trees because you could see it. You could see the light. It was so bright, shining through the branches. Then it would be again slightly raised in altitude. It was giving off a large corona around the light, indicating that the light, again, it was a very powerful single source of light. But there were no engines. There was no sound of, again, no rotors like a helicopter would have had. And at that close a distance, I would have heard them. Again, anyone who's ever seen a military helicopter, especially, let's say, for example, a UH-1 Huey, you can hear them coming from 5 or 6 miles away. Even a Black Hawk, you can hear it at least a good 2 miles away just from the rotor wash, the sound of the rotors and the sound of the motor. And around here in the area, there's a lot of them operating at night without any lights on, but you can always hear them. The customs helicopters, some of the police helicopters, again, may be flying without a lot of lights on, but they will always have a green navigation light. This object didn't have any navigation lights whatsoever, and didn't use any type of a searchlight that I could see with my eyes anyway. So again, based on what I've seen, what I've experienced from other aircraft, I've ruled out that this is any type of a conventional object. So again, having reviewed most of the pertinent data concerning my sighting, I've provided some links for my peers to actually go and see the footage, some of the footage for themselves. It's not all of them. I'm still adding onto the website. I have to compress more footage and upload it to the site, but hopefully this will help some of you to make conclusions for yourselves, considering exactly, help you to understand and ask the same questions I did when I first began to have these sightings. What are these things? Where do they come from? What's their purpose here? Again, anyone can speculate, anyone can theorize, but the bottom line is it is some type of object. It's real. It's not make-believe. And I only hope that I can, again, have people begin to realize and question for themselves exactly what is the nature of this phenomenon that's happening, and why the number of these sightings have been so high. Just do a basic check on YouTube and you'll see that there's hundreds of videos people have submitted from strange-looking objects, triangular UFOs, some caught in broad daylight. But the number of sightings has really been increasing steadily over the past 10 years, since the mid-90s. So hopefully, again, I'll provide some information and insight for people who have questions on this phenomenon. Again, thank you for your time, and with that I will conclude my presentation.